Hello everybody, Terrence Pop here with another episode from the Lair. Semi-Lair, I'm still in transition. But today, we're going to be covering a topic some of you actually asked for in the comments and emails. You wanted to, some serious stories. I'm going to get to some down the road, for some of the deployments we did, for combat and such down the road that you'll like. And I picked some of the choice stories out of those. I'm going to bring them here, and I may or may not repeat them depending upon if I have a brain injury moment or not. So, with that being said, let us begin! Anyway, I'm going to start off with a shot here because that's some crazy ass shit. All right. Now, I've said in the past, I spent a couple years as a deuce-and-a-half driver. You will drive that vehicle in some conditions where you shouldn't be driving that vehicle, and shit goes south. So this particular one happened to me, and I was actually behind the wheel. And I was driving for the 247 in the Yakima Firing Center, and I believe that was in 1987-ish, right in there. And, I don't remember the platoon that I had, but I had them all in the back. So they're all stacked like cordwood because mostly you need 2 deuce-and-a-halves to haul around a platoon of guys with all their shit. But if you stack them like cordwood and you pile everyone on top, they'll all fit in there, which is radically unsafe. And by today's standard, you would get in serious trouble. Well, back then, it was all good. And I had this one platoon sergeant, I'm not going to say his name. He was a raging asshole. You could tell he was doing shit just to get promoted and look good. And, after you've been in the Army for a couple weeks, you can pick those guys out of a lineup but pretty much every single time. So we were driving up this one embankment, and I made it up the first one. We made it to the top. We dropped off half the platoon, and then we're going down another one, and then we're going to go up even steeper embankment. Okay, now I had dropped the platoon sergeant off at the first hill, and we got to the bottom of the second hill, and I told everyone in the back, I'm like, get the fuck out of the vehicle, because I don't know what's going to happen, and if you're in the back and it rolls, people going to die. Because I remember, I was just a PFC. I was nobody. All right, I was just an attachment from another battalion who was just a driving lackey. So I go back there and I'm like, hey! I tell him the deal, and there's this one sergeant in there. He's like, you don't tell me what to do. And I'm like, look, bro, I'm just trying to tell you so you don't die. And so they reluctantly all got out of the vehicle. And I'm like, you just gotta walk up like 300 meters to the top of the hill. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's not like I'm making you walk 50 goddamn miles. And I didn't work for this sergeant or any of those guys, so, I was being a little bit more mouthy because all they could really do was, yell at their platoon sergeant, and he would call over to my first sergeant. And then when I got back at the end of the bullshit, I'd get yelled at, and I always got yelled at anyway, so it's not a big deal. So I remember I'm like going up the hill, and then you start doing the, and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm going through all the gears, and I'm doing all I can do to get up there, right? And it had rained the night before, so there's a little bit of slippage, and I don't know what happened, but the back end slipped out, and then it started to roll. And I remember that whole slow motion thing. I'm like, I'm rolling, and I'm not belted in. I don't have, back then, I mean, if you were lucky to have 2 seatbelts at work. I'm just saying. And I didn't think ahead to maybe tie in my, in my rappel seat and then fucking tie myself in. I've done that before, but I remember as I'm rolling in slow motion, I kind of like came off the pedals, and all of a sudden I'm at the top of the thing holding on the steering wheel, and the window's open, and we're going, and boom, boom, and then back in my mind, I'm like, don't let go of the wheel. Don't let go of the wheel. Because if I did, I could have possibly got partially, knocked out the window and then crushed as it rolled 4 or 5 times down the fucking hill. So it rolls all the way down and lands at the bottom, semi into this rocky ravine on all 4 wheels, still running. Still running. It's all dented up, all fucked up 3 ways to Sunday.
They don't make them like they used to, I guess.
No. I mean, they had to bring out a tank recovery vehicle to hook up a chain to it and drag us 100 feet up a little bit of a, 20 feet up an embankment over a couple rocks. And we were able to drive it back to the yard to have them look at it, which they said it was a fucking total loss. After it happens, everybody runs, oh, what the fuck you doing, Bob? You crashed goddamn vehicle, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I told you he wouldn't go up there. I said he wouldn't go up the embankment. You know, and then the company commander and first sergeant come out there. And the first sergeant was actually he was a really cool guy. White guy, big stupid mustache. You know, he'd been around a minute. So he's like, just tell me what happened. And I'm like, hey, look, platoon sergeant ass bag wanted me to drive up to the top of this hill. I told him it was too steep, but he made me do it. So I dropped off, half the platoon there and, whatever. And then he told me to drive to the top of this other hill and drop off the rest of the people. And I knew that it was even steeper than the first one, and I couldn't do it. And I told him it's probably not going to work out because it rained the night before, and it's like stupid steep. It's beyond the specifications that the vehicle's designed for because, I just went to the school. I know how this shit works. And he's like, all right, well, all right. So he told you to drive up there. Now, why did you drop all the people off at the bottom of the hill? I'm like, because I was expecting bad shit to happen and I didn't want them to get killed. He's like, all right, we're good. Nobody's dead. Nobody's hurt. The vehicle's fucked up, but you're just doing what you're doing because, it is what it is. So it's all good. But you're going to have to drive it back to the yard. So literally, I drove this deuce and a half. It's all crushed in. The windows fucking pushed aside like this, and like you get the frame was warped a little bit, so one wheel would skip off the front, all the way back to the yard. And I got back to my company like a couple weeks later, and my first sergeant fucked with me, and he's like, "Hey, that was a pretty good call. Nobody got killed. All right, I got it." That's one time, you would think common sense in the Army's common, but actually it's a very rare thing. In fact, I did a whole episode about that called Synthetic Common Sense. Check it out. The next deuce and a half incident, I was a passenger in this one. It happened in Pre-Ranger, almost exactly at the same place where we had another deuce and a half accident when I was in Ranger school like a month and a half later. So we're going out to the land nav. We're going out to the land nav range, daytime. We're in the back of the deuce and a half. We're all droned out, doing our thing. We didn't have our rucksacks with us because it was just land nav. And I don't know what happened. We're going around a bend, and the vehicle went onto its side. Now, it turned, like I was on this side of the vehicle, so it went around this corner, and it turned on its side like this, and then skidded. It didn't roll, thank God. But I can remember laying on the canvas tarp as we went over all these rocks and ruts in the road, and I could feel it was like getting punched in the ribs and the arm, or kicked by a mule is pretty much what it's like. Kicked on the right side of my body about a half a dozen times by a mule. Granted, it hurt like hell, but I was, 21, so I was indestructible, and I was just bruised up halfway to Sunday. A lot of us were pissed off. We all get out like, what the fuck, shut up? And again, we attacked the driver, not physically, but we're like, what the hell were you doing? And he's just like, I was just following the vehicle in front of me. I was told, it's the usual, like when whenever, somebody gets overburied or, they reach checkout point mentally, they're like, oh no. Nobody got hurt. So I remember the RIs came out, and the instructors, and they're like, is that hurt? No? All right, load up in deuce and a half 4, deuce and a half 5, and shut the fuck up. And then we just drove around that one. It's just, I remember doing the land nav course, like, looking at my map, like, and I made it, and then I got back and had to low crawl and do push-ups, I had fucking horrible one-arm push-ups and stuff. Like, what's wrong with you, Pop? I'm like, my arm's fucked up from the crash. Is it broken? I don't think so. Keep going, Roger that. Yeah. No mercy. No mercy.
I just like that order. When in doubt, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up.
All right, the third deuce and a half incident happened, again, 6 weeks or a month and a half, 2 months later when I was in Ranger school. Again, We're going to the land nav course. Now, I've already crashed a vehicle here because the sand is deep and it ruts out. And I remember I told the driver, I'm like, hey, we're going out to the land nav course. Be careful because the sand ruts out and you're going to flip your vehicle. Okay, so he was my driver. Now, I remember I'm in the back of this fucking deuce and a half. We're going down the hill. And we're going at a pretty good clip. The first time I smashed it, we're only doing about 30. We're doing substantially faster now. We're doing like 45. We're officially in someone's going to get fucked up, stupid, land here. The deuce and a half behind us. Now, I didn't get a chance to brief that guy. I briefed the guy who was driving us. So we're going along, and I can see the sand. I know the deal. And I watch that vehicle and roll. And it like rolled over, and you saw Rangers just get flung about willy-nilly. Just willy-nilly. And one guy, I've seen this a couple times when the vehicles flip. He comes out of the vehicle, he's stunned, he's sitting there as the vehicle flips over him, right? And because there was full of shit and stuff like that. But the top came off, and then the top is held off by these like wooden or fiberglass bows that hold the tarp up. Well, he's sitting there. Now it goes over, and then the bow breaks loose, and then hooks his equipment, and then it rolls again, and whah! He literally catapulted like into a fucking tree. Luckily, because if he would have hit the ground, he would have been crushed by the vehicle. But he like catapulted into this pine tree, and then the vehicle rolled under, like almost underneath him at the same time, and like bounced into the trees, like boom, and he's doing the whole ping pong thing, down, bing, 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 down the bushes, hits the ground. He was laid there for a good long while. We all stop and run out there. Oh my God, first aid! Now they did have a not a serious injury, but a significant injury. A guy had a broken leg. I mean, his lower leg was broken, and you could tell because it kind of leg went like this, and then there was a space of meat, and the rest of the leg was like 3 inches or 4 inches off. So there was a clean break in there. So we splinted his shit up as he was screaming. And the guy who did the ping pong ball impersonation, or he got up and he's walking around. He's like, and I remember some guys like, "What's up, Ranger? You just walking that off or what?" He's like, "Shut up!" He was all fucked up.
Shut the fuck up.
But if you get hurt in Ranger school, you're pretty much gone. The guy with the broken leg, it would take too long for him to heal, to recycle. So. I don't know what happened to him. He kind of got a raw deal.
Did he break lower leg, upper leg?
No, lower leg.
No, lower leg. Either way, shin, femur. It's
yeah. It's a minimum of 6 to 8 weeks to heal, and then it's like 2 or 3 months to recover, to rehab the whole thing, and then it may or may not be as strong as it was before. It all depends on your genetics, I guess. All right, the third one was a 5-ton crash, and again, I'm not driving. I'm just in the back. Since I'm a private, I'm like the last guy to get on. I'm sitting like literally right by the tailgate. I don't get a seat on a bench. It just sucked. And we're going up this, I remember going up this fucking, I think it was part of Yakima fucking Ridge. And I was a deuce and a half driver, and I'm driving 5 tons of stuff. And I remember I told the 5-ton driver, I'm like, hey, this is real steep. You probably should not do this, or maybe we should get out and walk. And they're like, fuck that, get in the vehicle. I'm like, all right, somebody's gonna die. Made a video about that, here it is. But I was right there by the tailgate. All right, so they put up the tailgate, and then they didn't put down the actual rain flap, so I'm watching everything that's going on. And we're going up Yakima Ridge, and the 5-ton starts doing the... And what does the driver do? Turns the wheel. We start rolling. Now, I know what's coming. All right, I'm right there by the tailgate. So I'm like, oh my God, I just do a Superman dive right out of the tailgate. And I remember I'm looking back, and I see everybody like, oh, because they all know what's up. It's going down. And then that 5-ton, it flipped like 3 times, rolled 3 times before it stopped, and it landed on its side, and then, the engine was still running, but it didn't run long. And again, some unfortunate bastard got slung like an insane distance from the bow. of the goddamn tarp. Nobody was killed. I think we had a guy with a broken arm, a guy had a concussion, a bunch of, bruises and sprains, maybe a dislocation here or there. Those are easy to fix. But yeah, same thing. They always run and yell at the driver. And in this case, because I told the platoon sergeant, I'm like, hey man, I told that guy not to do it. And if he was going to do it, never fucking cut the wheel. Just put it in neutral and just let it roll backwards slowly till you get to the bottom. And then we could reassess the situation. He didn't do that. He was new, he was an idiot. He was, what are you gonna do? They always make the young guys drive for some reason, because that works out well for everyone. Okay. All right, last one. You guys will love this one. I was a 9th ID, motorized infantry. It was a new concept. Actually, it's not a new concept. The Germans used the shit out of it, but we were gonna try to use it for the Humvees. Again, Yakima Firing Center. We always wound up going to that goddamn place. Fucking hated it. And my squad was in the back of the 5-ton. Again, I was by the rear. We're buckled in, and we're going down, going cross country. But it was fairly, even. There was just a little bit of rolling hills. But, there are erosion ditches and stuff that they're not on the map. You don't see them. So we're going along at a pretty decent clip, maybe 30 miles an hour, maybe 25. It seemed real fast because we really weren't on road, but in reality, it probably wasn't that fast or I'd be dead. Because I remember my team leader asked me to retrieve something and I couldn't reach it, so I undid my belt buckle and I reached out to get it. And just as we're doing that, we hit one of those erosion ditches, and it's like, bang! Where's Pop go? Right into the air. The Humvee keeps driving. I'm like, here we go. Kaboom! My rifle I was slung around my back, so I'd roll, the rifle slapping me in the face. I'm all tore up, And they're like, oh my God, I can hear them Pop's out of the vehicle. They stop. They come running back, Pop, you okay? I'm like, dude, oh yeah. I was smashed up. I had my face was cut up from the rifle. My teeth, thank God, were fine. I had to get a couple stitches in my face, one in my scalp. Two right up here in my shoulder from the front sight post the front sight of the A2 that we had. We're using M16 A2s back then. And other than that, I was like, are you all right? I'm like, I'm bleeding everywhere, and the medic came out. Oh, he's fine. We'll stitch him right up, and he should be good. They took me back to the TMC at Yakima. They looked me over. I was back that night, 5 hours later. So I don't know, maybe, if something like that were to happen today, everyone would be upset. The soldier would spend a day or two in the hospital. He'd be sent back to the rear, like a bunch of pussy babies nowadays. Just saying. Back then it was like, oh, we'll check him out. Oh, he's fine. Fuck your pain. Take Motrin, drink water, drive on. All right, gentlemen. There we go with the original, or the first episode of When Shit Went South.